Good Thursday morning, guys. Jerry Miller, and welcome to the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase on the I Love Cville Network. This phenomenal program presented by Barb, starring the phenomenal fairy godmother. Also, thanks to the folks at Keswick Vineyards. We love the Schoenberg family at I Love Cville and at Barb. And I don't want to speak for Barbara, but I think on that circumstance I can. Why don't we give some props to Judah Wickhauer. Judah Wickhauer keeps the ship floating in the right direction. I very much mean that. And Judah, on that note, let's welcome the star of our show, the one, the only, Barbara Lundgren. How are you?
Good morning. You always make my day.
I love being around you too. I like your laugh. You're insightful. You're a very pretty gal. You make the set look good. My friend, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
What's on your mind?
Oh, well, haven't we been through a lot in a week?
Right?
2 weeks.
Every week in COVID feels like a year of regular time.
Oh, my gosh, doesn't it? Yeah. So we are now in phase 2.5. Isn't that interesting?
You called that.
Yeah.
Before everybody else did.
Sort of, yeah. Well, and the way they played it, I mean, I guess we can say played it, or...
How do you think it played out? What's your take before we get Neil's take?
We're good on weddings.
Yeah.
I'm sad for other events. I'm very sad for other events.
What does that mean?
Yes. Well, so you said it yesterday. We can have protest on the fly. I mean, does that mean that we don't even have to have a permit? I mean, it can just happen, and that's wrong. Our nonprofits can't have their events. I was going to surprise you yesterday.
You were?
Yeah.
I like surprises.
Didn't work out. But that was going to be a little promo for our 4-H'ers. So the Albemarle County Fair is not happening, which was supposed to be this weekend. But the 4-H teams, the 4-H clubs, have their animals. They've been working for months with their animals, and some of the animals are at my farm. So
some of the 4-H animals are at your farm?
Yeah. My grandson is in the 4-H.
Okay.
And a couple of the other kids have their animals there. So we have 3 goats, and we have a heifer.
Wait, were you going to surprise me with the goat at the studio?
The kids were going to be there and show you yesterday at the farm. We were going to show you the goats and all that. And
now I feel terrible.
But no. It didn't work out because now we can't have more than 50 people at the show. So, we were going to promote it and invite people out because there's no fair. So, hey, come out and support the kids. They work hard. They've had these animals for months. But now we can't have more than 50 people at the show.
So, I'll say this. I don't mind catching the heat, as you know. This is not Barbara saying. So we can have impromptu protests of thousands of people anywhere in the city and the county. Yet we cannot have a 4-H fair with animals that is good for children.
Nope.
Because that makes perfect sense, right? I mean, what is happening?
Yeah, I'm kind of ticked off. Yeah. I mean, they've been working for months on these animals, and they work very hard. They have no other structure. I mean, what structure do the kids have right now?
None.
So these kids have been working very hard with their several different breeds coming in, and now we can't promote it. So they have a show and they have a sale, so they sell these animals, and that's how they build their college funds, and it's just sad. It's very sad.
How do you think, before we get Neil, André Xavier is going to join us, Neil Williamson is going to join us. Neil, we'll reach out to you here in a matter of moments. Guys, give the show a like and a share for Barbara Lundgren on any of these Facebook pages. Hammer the like button and share it, please. How do you feel the county and the city did? And you wrote a fabulous letter, a fabulous email.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
I
fabulous.
watched both meetings, and I was okay with the county meeting. The city meeting was just...
Okay, let me say this. I thought the city and members of city council straight up devalued the entire industry.
Right.
I mean, literally devalued. In fact, I don't think if it wasn't for Heather Hill and then Lloyd following suit then, the city may actually have turned its back on weddings on Monday afternoon.
Absolutely. They were about to.
They were about to
take weddings off the list.
Right. And then Heather kind of saved it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was just like, why do we care about weddings?
Right.
They don't affect us. So, yeah, I wrote pretty quickly and detailed to all of them. And you did it
intelligently without it being, because I'm sure you were, a little irritated.
I was quite irritated.
And it did not come out in your letter.
Well,
can you explain?
I try to be diplomatic.
You do a good job. You do a good job. Can you explain the points you made in the letter?
Oh, yeah, it's right here. But I pointed out that they were, okay, I won't say who said what. Anyone can go online and see the meeting. But it was pointed out in the group that, well, we're going to close down for a couple of months, and there aren't going to be that many weddings in the next couple of months. No. If you shut down weddings in the next couple of months, there are going to be more reschedules, there are going to be more cancellations, and there will not be any more bookings coming through right now because people will be discouraged about next year.
Right.
So you're shutting us down.
Isn't it so obvious?
Down all these small businesses.
Right.
So I pointed out all the small businesses, and these businesses are in the city. The photographers and whether we live in the county or the city, we're doing business in the city.
Right.
We're meeting at Cville Coffee. Cville Coffee is everyone's second office.
Yeah.
We're there all the time. We see each other 2 or 3 times a week when we're busy. And, the hotels are here. Everyone wants to be, my couples want to be at the Omni all the time.
Point.
They want to be at the Omni because they can have their bridal party there. They can have their rehearsal dinner there or at a restaurant on the mall. They don't have to travel. They can party all weekend on the mall. And so how much revenue is coming through that?
Right.
And I went on and pointing out, how many weddings we have a year and then I was sent another report on.
Is that what I have to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was sent another report that kind of blew the numbers out of the water on what I sent them, and because these numbers might not have been reflecting what Keswick Hall does. They've been down for construction. Good timing for them to be down for construction right now, right?
Right.
So, but they bring out tons, and so it just blew me away. And in the report, in the news, they were saying again, I won't name names. You can see it, but
can I name names?
Sure, Jerry.
Okay, are we talking about the counselors that turned their back on the entire wedding industry?
Well, the one thing that came through in the news report was, we're going to be hurting if we don't have UVA students come back. But earlier in the meeting, that was not the message coming through.
Right.
It was that's not what they were saying.
Michael Payne, Cena McGill, and Mayor Walker straight up turned their back on the entire wedding industry.
Absolutely.
What's shocking to me, and you have a lot of comments coming in, I'm going to relay the comments to you, and Neil will get to you here shortly.
Yep.
It is shocking to me because the city directly benefits from this phenomenal industry, and anyone that is going to a wedding is probably going to end up on the downtown mall after the wedding. That's what we did with ours. We got married in the county and then came to the city to party after the wedding, and we did it for 3 days, Barbara.
And not only that, they bring their bridal parties here for weekends of planning, or they come here for the wineries for the bachelorette party. They're not thinking.
Right.
They're not looking at it. And the county's done a few, maybe at least 2 economic impact studies on weddings alone. But I don't think the city's done that. So,
Or I don't think they care.
I don't think they care.
I don't think they care. Guys, give Barbara
Yep.
Lundgren some props.
Yep.
Beth Hyder is watching. Good morning.
Hi,
I'm
Beth.
looking forward to your show. Hello, sweet Barb. That's from Beth.
Hi, Beth.
This is a good one for you. Neil, we'll get to you shortly. Carrie Woolard, I am happy that weddings can occur, but I do not understand the difference between a wedding and a fundraiser in terms of public health.
Exactly.
If everyone is wearing masks and or social distancing, what is the difference?
I had an event cancel yesterday. I've been doing for 19 years, and we canceled it. And it's a foundation that we've been doing for 19 years, and it's just sad.
Stan Spencer, I love this show.
Hi,
Donna
Stan.
Rowland, so sad. Rachel Labonte, thank you. Barbara Lundgren for setting the record straight on the current hypocrisy surrounding COVID-19 in our industry. Ray Cadell is sharing the show. Good Lord, you're a popular gal. Florence Worley-Vaya, Jeanette Whitlow, Cindy Schwarberg, Iris Luck, Kara Shandison, Lynn Lively, Christelle Corper. The list goes on and on and on. Barbara Lundgren, André Xavier. Most hotels are located in the city. They host all the guests from the weddings, plus restaurants and bars. The city benefits the most from the wedding business.
That was
what
in
is
my
our
list,
city council
right
thinking?
here.
André Xavier.
Not thinking.
Yeah.
Not thinking. I mean, it was the
What can we do? What do we do?
I don't know. I tried to make them think. This was a, 2-page email. But
What was the response?
I heard from one counselor.
Stina McGill?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard from any others.
Jacqueline Greiger, we've got venues telling clients they don't need to have guests wear masks, though.
Oh, dear.
Good night. Most
We
of the
can't
venues,
say that.
most of the
we have to
venues-
encourage it.
Yeah, most of the venues we know are going
Yeah.
beyond safe.
Absolutely. Everyone, and I've talked to other counties. I have a couple of things going on in Harrisonburg, and everyone's in their due diligence. They are doing their jobs.
That's what I'm
but yeah, you have to encourage the guests to social distance. You have to be saying it. You have to be putting up the signs. You have to have your hand sanitizers, and please wear a mask. But if they choose not to do it, it's on them.
Yeah. Charlie Xavier's watching the program. André Xavier's phenomenal better half. Well, welcome to the show, Charlie. Should we call Neil?
Yep, we're ready.
J-Dubs?
Yeah.
Neil, we're going to reach out to you here. I'm going to ask the first question to Neil, then turn the computer around for the fabulous fairy godmother to do her thing. J-Dubs, I got Neil on the line, and Barb, I'm going to plug this in once I turn it around.
Sure.
Neil, if you could turn that camera on so we can see that handsome face of yours, all you have to do is tap the screen and activate the camera, and then we can get Neil on the show. J-Dubs, you ready to bring him in? Okay. Neil Williamson, you are live. You're looking sharp. A gentleman whose website we literally visit every single day, the Free Enterprise Forum. All right, why don't we do this? Barbara has a lot of questions for you. I'm going to do the first one. Introduce yourself, please, to the viewing public before we talk shop, Neil.
Sure. Neil Williamson, I'm the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, and we've been working here. I started with the Free Enterprise Forum as we were founded 2003, and I've had the great pleasure of knowing Barbara longer than that, and it's a pleasure to be on the program. We are a privately funded public policy organization focused on Charlottesville and the surrounding localities.
So, Neil, I missed a little bit of what you said, but I have your write-up here from your website. I know that you keep the county on their toes, and I just want to hear more about. I mean, you have drive. I mean, you have heart and you have drive, and you've always kept me inspired. And so, tell us what a day in the life of Neil Williamson is.
Oh, it's a good question.
Well, I like to tell folks I do a fair amount of public policy, which means going to a large number of meetings. One would think that during the COVID age, we would be going to fewer meetings, and in fact, it's the reverse. Since we don't have travel time, we're zooming into more meetings in more localities I probably spend roughly 4 hours a day in local government meetings of one type or another.
Wow.
We track over 100 boards and commissions, and every time I turn around, we have a new one to track. Government is always looking to improve, and along those lines, I also track some of the local media, and had a good interaction with Roger Johnson on Jerry's show yesterday. I will say that government is not evil. Government has a purpose, and it is important that we retain a pro-business environment. Government's role is not to promote business. Government's role is to get out of the way. And there are certain regulations that make good sense and are there for the public good. And there are other regulations that quite honestly grow on themselves and fail to meet the test of the reward test, whereby you're spending more money to fix a problem that doesn't actually fix the problem. It just creates more paperwork. So we work a great deal on reducing regulatory burdens on businesses. We do a great deal in the land use sector. That's really where local government has its power. And again, we work directly with staff, trying to let them know of unintended consequences of some of the most well-intentioned ideas. I have to say that when we talk about housing affordability, there was a question of many years ago, the idea of inclusionary zoning mandating that of all new housing product, 15% must be affordable. At the time, the CEO of Habitat said that's a good first step, and I said, you just made housing less affordable for 85% of the new home buyers. Right. My wife said I've had better days in the paper.
So you are a great follow-up to Jerry's show yesterday with Roger Johnson, and thank you for juggling that out for us. You had a question yesterday that we didn't get to, but the resignation of the 3 members of the EDA. What is your take on that?
And what's the story behind that, Neil?
Yeah,
We're not as smart as you. What's the story behind that?
Elaborate.
I firmly believe you're smarter than I am, but the story behind that comes out of Northern Virginia locality, where the EDA, in cahoots with the Board of Supervisors, managed to effectively...
First, tell us what the EDA is.
Please.
Yeah.
There's an...
Okay.
Localities have things that are called either EDAs or IDAs, which is an Economic Development Authority or an Industrial Development Authority. This is a semi-autonomous group that is appointed by the Board of Supervisors or City Council that is allowed to issue bonds based upon certain goals. And those bonds are utilized to enhance and promote economic development in that locality. 3-4 years ago, there was a case in Northern Virginia. It's not Fauquier, but it's one of the neighboring localities to Fauquier County, where in cahoots with a member of the Board of Supervisors, 2 members of the Economic Development Authority received loans and defaulted on those loans to millions of dollars. And of course, being that went through the court cases and was adjudicated, but the General Assembly decided that, well, we need to do something because, well, this shouldn't happen, and so we need to do something. What they decided to do unanimously last session was require members that are appointed to the economic development authorities or industrial development authorities to complete the same 28-page financial disclosure document that you must produce if you're running for elected office.
Interesting.
Prior to that, there was a 3-page, very basic economic holdings package that EDA members had to pursue. In our opinion, none of this would have stopped what happened in Northern Virginia. However, because as you know, the Board of Supervisors was involved in that and they filled out the same financial disclosure. In response to that, Rod Gentry, who is a friend, a good long time Albemarle guy, resigned from, as the chair, he resigned from the Albemarle County Economic Development Authority, and two of the members, Jim Atkinson and Don, I've lost Don's last name, but Mellon, resigned as well. And that means 3 members of an 8-member authority felt that this was too high a bar to cross. And in my opinion, that's a challenge. It's hard to get people to volunteer to serve on boards and commissions. I do believe the EDA positions are paid some ungodly amount, like $50 a meeting, and they meet once a month. But it is a continual challenge to get people to be engaged, do the homework, and go to the meetings ready to make decisions and ask the hard questions. The function of the EDA is not a rubber stamp of the Economic Development Department. In fact, it's a checks and balances. It brings the citizens into the room when the decisions about these bond issuances are made. The Albemarle EDA has had huge successes over the last 2 years, including the Willow Tree experience, which was just reviewed, and they've added 200 jobs. It's hard to say, what did I get for this money? You've generated 200 jobs, each of which pay over $50,000 a year. So I regret that Rod felt the need to resign because of this, but I completely understand, and I'm hopeful that there could be a legislative solution to go back in time and really evaluate this, because this never even really got a discussion in subcommittee. It was simply, well, where was this problem? This is going to fix it. And that just isn't the case.
So follow up, Neil. They resigned because they were asked for increased financial information, their own personal financials, and that's why they resigned, you think?
That is why they resigned. And in addition, Jerry, those financials would be made available to anyone who filed a FOIA request.
Dude, I would never. Who would ever do this? Who would ever provide their financials when you're getting paid peanuts? Not even peanuts.
Right,
Peanuts is a compliment. Who would ever provide financials like that, Neil?
Well, the question really becomes one of, who do you want to serve on the Economic Development Authority? In the case of Mr. Gentry, he's retired from a 40-year banking career. These are really intense documents. Jerry, you're familiar with leases and the like, and these are really difficult documents that you need to noodle on these things a long time to figure out what they mean. What you're doing is precluding people with that kind of experience, because they likely have financial holdings they don't want everyone to know about.
Of course. And then that creates new volunteers without the economic experience, people that are essentially rookies coming on the board, because people that are going to provide their financials, Neil, to that extent, probably don't have a robust financial portfolio, and that's why they're going to give that information to people. Is that a fair assessment there?
It is. The only flip side is, remember, this was enacted by the General Assembly, and every General Assembly member has to fill out the same documentation.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Gracious. I wish I had asked that question, Neil. Darn it.
Okay. So, your take on phase 2.5. What's your take on where we are with that?
Well, I first and foremost, I'm concerned. I'm appreciative of some of the exceptions, but I'm concerned that Albemarle County is mission creeping into an area that I don't believe is their sandbox to play in.
I get that.
That being said, I understand their frustration, but it seems a little egocentric that, well, if they're not going to apply, they're not going to follow the state law, maybe if I as a supervisor say something, they'll follow my law. And then they put forth an ordinance that has a class 1 misdemeanor for not wearing a face mask. Everyone should know that unlike hurricanes, misdemeanors go in the other order. So you have a class 1 hurricane, you're not too worried about it. Class 1 is the most punishing. It's punishable by a fine of up to $2,500 and up to a year in jail. In a meeting, and Barbara, one of the problems with attending so many meetings, we had a Charlottesville council meeting right after an Albemarle County Board of Supervisors meeting, and I don't remember which meeting the Commonwealth's Attorney Hinchley spoke at. But at one of those meetings, he said, there is no judge that I know that will throw anyone in jail for wearing a mask. It may have been the Charlottesville meeting, but I thought it was the Albemarle meeting, which was a longer meeting.
It was the Albemarle.
It was the Albemarle. So it was mentioned in that meeting. When you read the ordinance itself, it's a huge burden on law enforcement.
Yeah.
So the penalty under Section 5, regarding dispersing and gathering, it says you have to first be warned by a law enforcement officer to disperse. Well, it sounds like that has to be in person. I don't think you can do that by the phone. And then, after a reasonable period of time, and here's the key language, not to exceed 2 minutes. If the crowd doesn't disperse, it's punishable by Class 1 misdemeanor. I will say that the city council took some issue with it and said, we don't want to put people in jail for not wearing a mask. They're big on non-jailing folks in general, and they backed off some of that punishment section, not the requirements, but the punishment. Overall, I think that the Board of Supervisors is frustrated. They're trying to provide enforceable solutions. As one who has been through this on different realms over the last month and a half, 2 months, the businesses want to do right by this in general.
They absolutely do.
They're trying.
They're trying so hard.
Yeah.
There are always bad actors. I'm sorry, in any instance,
Sure.
there are always bad actors. But I can tell you that as I travel and go about my day, I see folks wearing masks, wearing gloves, social distancing, working through, from the gentleman at Thai 99 who's blocked off his entire restaurant and left the foyer where you can pick up your food. There's no question he is trying to not only protect the safety of his customers, but the safety of his team as well.
Absolutely.
And that's true of just about every restaurant owner I know. Many of them are foregoing opening because they can't make that happen in a manner that they feel is safe. I believe that it can be done. I've known plenty of folks that are doing it. I don't necessarily agree with the 50-person limit. I would have preferred a 6-foot distance between gathering points, but I understand the enforceability question. The problem becomes one of if you're an agricultural building, I'll pick on somebody that I have right on top of my head. If you're King Family Vineyards and you have an area that is indoors and is large, you could have over 50 people at different gathering points, separated by over 6 feet, and be meeting what I consider to be the important guidelines. But because of this ordinance, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah. And they didn't take on schools, so we'll find out about that this afternoon.
Well, now be careful. You're in Virginia. In Virginia, we're unique, just like everybody else. We have a separation of duties. The school board controls the schools, not the Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors only provides money to the school board. The school board has no authority to generate revenue.
Okay.
But the school board is independently elected to manage schools, and it's very, very difficult for the Board of Supervisors to take forth action that goes to direct schools how to do things under Virginia's Constitution.
Thank you for clarifying that.
That's a good take right
That's
there.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
And for anyone who would like to know or doesn't know, the school board meets at 2 p.m. this afternoon.
Today.
Yes. And we'll find out something about what's going to happen with schools. Yeah. I have a question for you, and I gave you a heads up on this. And I'll just read what I sent you, if that's okay. So I'm a native of Charlottesville, and I've been a county resident for 45 years, okay? I've been running my business for 20 years now, and it is with challenges, many challenges. This year, more than ever. In order to supplement my income, I have more recently put my home on Airbnb and VRBO. Albemarle County recently started to regulate. So last year, they checked out all the VRBO and Airbnb listings in the county.
Right.
Now they're regulating those listings, and they knocked on the door, sent a letter saying, hey, you need to pay a fee, and you need to have the fire marshal come out and check things out. Even though I was doing everything that the Airbnb and VRBO, I was under all guidelines. So I had to pay the fee.
How much was the fee?
$158, I think.
Okay.
So $158 fee, fire marshal comes out and says, oh, even though you have fire alarms in each, smoke alarms in each bedroom, each hallway, just like we're supposed to have, now they have to be wired. So with all of that cost, there goes my first rental, which didn't happen this year anyway because it was UVA weekend. So, but I'm just trying to get them to transfer that fee over to next year because I'm not renting because of COVID. I can't get an answer to that. It's like, okay, this fee needs to go on to next year. I wasn't able to rent this year. And
Seems reasonable, Barbara.
cannot get that answer. They're passing the buck.
Of course.
You know, you need to ask this one, you need to ask that one, and I started with my supervisor. But
Who's your
so
supervisor?
Donna.
Okay.
Yeah, in Scottsville. So, you know, I have these challenges with small business. Neil and I and all of the venues, we've been through sound ordinance issues, which was successful.
Yeah.
That was good. We went through in 2008, I don't know, can't remember the year. I have it somewhere. 2016, sorry, where we were regulated again. And we were all at the county office building, making speeches and everything. And things, venues were hurting again. Then I this year, my business is shut down, my VRBO is shut down, everything. Why do I wake up, my 2 p.m. regular wake up in the middle of the night, and I'm thinking, why do I feel like I want to move to Nelson?
Yeah.
So life would be easier somewhere else. So anyway, your take on my feelings there.
Sure. And as I replied to you, I'm conflicted on this because there's a couple of different things at work here. The fee administered by any government is supposed to recoup the costs associated with the regulation. And the fee of $158 does not seem unbelievably harsh when you consider the need for someone coming out to do an inspection.
Sure.
And that is tied to public safety. Whether or not the smoke alarms need to be wired is a different issue altogether. That's the regulation. But I'm talking about the fees associated with it. In addition, the idea that you have to be registered and pay BPOL, which is a personal license occupancy licensing tax, is again one of those things that creates an even playing field. Because what happens with the idea of Airbnb is if you have an unregistered section, you then are not paying what we call transit occupancy taxes, which are the TOT taxes, which provide, actually it's a nickel and 3 cents of that goes back to tourism promotion. All of the hotels are mandated to pay that, of course, and they pay it. Most of the Airbnbs that are registered, all the Airbnbs that are registered pay that fee, and it serves as by state code, a majority of it must be used for tourism promotion, and that funds the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So the idea of registering the Airbnbs is not an issue for me, and it is a by right use. It's an accessory use of your property, and that's important. When it becomes a primary use, it creates different issues. Whole house rentals every day of the year is a different impact on the neighbors than renting out a room or 2 rooms in your house every UVA football weekend. I had a revelation about Airbnb about 2 years ago when my neighbor's property, which I'm 19 feet from their property line, went on the market. And I determined that if my buddy Charlie Armstrong, with his 4 very young children, moved in, it would have more impact on me than if somebody moved in and used an Airbnb. It's an interesting dynamic, calculating the impacts of Airbnb versus or homestay, as the county likes to call it, versus normal residential use. Certainly, the water use is less. The traffic is less than a normal use, but I believe that delaying or applying that $158 fee to the next year makes good common sense. I don't believe that any staff person can make that determination. That has to come from a supervisor to take an executive action to do that.
Thank you for that.
That's a legislative action. We don't ask staff to make policy. It's important that policymakers make policy. Staff implements policy.
And all you're asking is for the 158 fee
To be
rolled
transferred
over
to next
the next year.
year. Yeah.
Because you're not using this
Right.
because we have a pandemic that no one ever expected
Exactly.
happening, impacting that revenue
That's
stream.
all I want.
That
Yep.
seems very
Yep.
reasonable.
I don't know that I'll rent it next year, but I don't want to pay that fee again.
Right.
It just doesn't
Very
make sense.
reasonable request.
And they're always sending me things in the mail. You have to do this, you have to do that. All that staff time.
Right.
It doesn't. None of this adds up. None of this anyway. And then we have a neighbor who another one of the regulations is you have to be on property during the rental time. You can't leave. And so a lot of people have had to sell their houses. They can't rent anymore because they're not on the property. I have the luxury of staying with my son during the rental. But a lot of people have had to give it up altogether because they don't have another place to stay on the property. Unless you're going to be in the house with the people, they don't want that. So, yeah.
Right. Well, that really speaks to the primary and secondary use. The idea of having a caretaker as well was another consideration. I will tell you the Airbnb regulations have been discussed for over 60 months, and I have probably been to over 100 meetings discussing Airbnb regulations in Albemarle alone. You mentioned Nelson County, and I do believe their regulations are more lax, but they also don't have nearly as many Airbnbs as Albemarle does, because there are more things that people want to do in Albemarle. While I love Nelson County, and I think there are great things there, it is not as vibrant as the Charlottesville-Albemarle region.
Right. Okay. Well, tell me, Neil, do you sleep at night, or does all this stuff go through your head all the time?
Well, I will say that there are times when I hear meetings being called in my sleep, but
Right. I would think so.
but Barbara, I want to make clear this is no way an indictment of the elected officials. No one gets into public office with the idea of I really want to screw up this locality. Usually, it is a vision for moving forward that may or may not include some unintended consequences. I believe that in their heart of hearts, the Board of Supervisors.
Sorry.
So I believe that they mean well. It's just we have to continually remind them how regulations impact business.
All right, let me throw this. You got a lot of stuff coming in, Neil. Weddings. We started the program with City Council on Monday afternoon, Neil, and 3 members of council, Sina McGill, Michael Payne, and Mayor Nakia Walker, straight up on the record devalued the wedding industry. And if it wasn't for Heather Hill, and then Lloyd Snook, after Heather Hill kind of led the charge, said, hey, these people are critical to this city and critical to the region. We can't turn our backs on weddings. But council straight up on Monday was about to devalue you guys in the city of Charlottesville. Let's start with an open-ended question, and we could spend an entire day picking this man's beautiful brain. I mean, he's so smart. Let's start with an open-ended question, Neil, about weddings and the impact on the region, and then we'll get into some details, sir.
Sure. Well, the wedding business has grown exponentially. Back in 2016, Barbara and I were engaged in a battle of sorts with Albemarle County, And at that point, on the back of an envelope, I calculated the impact, conservatively, the impact annually of about $54 million. Since then, we've had additional wedding venues come online. I've heard some folks state a number of $100,000 a wedding. As one who just put on a wedding for my daughter, I don't know that that number is accurate. It wasn't for mine. But when you look at the number of venues, and you generally use an idea that 50 couples come from out of town of a 200 person wedding, and then you've got 2 meals and 1 hotel night for each one. That's $350, $400 times 50. That's a huge impact. Multiply that times the number of venues. I will say that, I'm thrilled that I think it was late last year, Keswick Vineyards held their 400th wedding. And that's incredible. Each and every one of those weddings was spectacular and unique. And they really know how to do it. They were on our finalist list. I love Al and Cindy. I think they're fabulous people. We just ended up having the wedding closer to home. And thanks to COVID, it ended up being an outdoor wedding rather than a church wedding. But the bottom line on it all is it's a huge economic impact. I would venture to say it's well over $100 million in economic activity annually. And it is the people that really generate that revenue are the people that support the wedding, which are often, solopreneurs, I think someone called it. And those folks are one-person LLCs that plan weddings, and they may have an assistant that comes on for the day of. They're the DJ, they are the photographer. I mean, each one of those, and the part of it that it's lost, and especially when you're talking about what I call agricultural weddings, those weddings keep that land in agriculture.
Absolutely.
And keep those vistas that people keep coming to Charlottesville for. So I heard in Monday's meeting perhaps I'm being more charitable, but I heard a concern for public health that exceeded the economic concern. They didn't devalue the economic concern, but they believed that they were doing what was best for public health, and that trumped the economic concern.
The 100K, and Neil, I'm going to loss for name here, and I'm going to need your help. The previous economic development director for Albemarle County, it was a female. Is it Christy Jacobs?
No, it's Faith.
Sorry.
I've lost Faith's last name.
The previous one that was before Roger, and I think she's working for the Land Trust now.
Christine worked in that office, but she wasn't the director.
Okay. So she said, look, we've let the board know multiple times that for every wedding in Albemarle County, we're projecting it at $100,000 for the county that comes from a wedding or a wedding weekend. So that's where that number, and she let us know that in person. So here's the question I have for you, Neil. Roger came on the show, Economic Development Director of Albemarle County yesterday. The dude was great. I mean, Roger was straightforward, and when he didn't have the answer, he said, I don't know, which I respect tremendously. He clearly, Neil, is committed to economic development in Albemarle County. Here's the question I have for you, sir. You know it a heck of a lot better than I. If we have staff that is going to the board and saying, this is critically important for our area, yet what is being relayed to the board is not, in a lot of ways, coming to fruition, where is the loss in communication? What is happening here?
Now, I've got a non sequitur there, Jerry. The Board of Supervisors in their activity on this ordinance excluded weddings. I would argue that that's very much staff promoting the import of weddings to the regional economy. So I would say that message is getting through. And I think that it is, it can't, as I say, a wedding especially is controlled by, well, Barbara in most cases, well, the wedding planner and the team. And if anything, that is an environment where such regulations, enforcement of face masks, clearing, the idea of leaving a salad plate on the table until the end of service, all of that stuff can be done and is being done because these folks that are involved in this industry know that it's in the industry's interest to solve the problem. I believe that the Board of Supervisors does recognize the import of weddings to their economy. And to a person, they may not like it, in some persons on the board, but they recognize the value, and that's one of the reasons where I saw the exemption coming through.
Good answer right there.
Okay, great.
More questions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Neil, how about a snapshot? And André Xavier, we're going to go to you very soon here, André. Neil is crushing it. Neil, how about a snapshot on what you think 2021 could be looking from a budget standpoint, and where we go from here, especially if revenues continue to fall across the county and the city? Open-ended question, open-ended topic, anywhere you want to go on that.
Sure. Well, I was crunching the numbers yesterday, some sales tax data numbers, and of the localities that we cover, Charlottesville is still behind year-to-date through the May numbers for their sales tax revenue. Albemarle is now close to even. It might be a little bit positive now that I think about it. And Waynesboro is like at 1% growth over 2019. I think we're finding a new normal. I think you're going to see, you're not going to see significant advancement, but I believe you're going to see minor advancement. 5 to 7% seems to be reasonable in growth. All of this is couched by what happens with our dear friends, the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
I think the economic impact of the university cannot be overstated, and the impact of having those folks there. Many of the rents will still be paid because those deals are made and done, but the idea of not having bodies here, consumers of product, will really impact your restaurants, your grocery, other elements. It's a huge economic impact. Budgets, I think, will probably grow slightly. There will be a need for them to grow. I'm guessing you're going to see a 5% increase in locality budgets, and you're probably going to see roughly the same increase in your property taxes and your sales tax revenue based on volume.
You're projecting a 5% increase on real estate taxes?
I believe that's going to happen.
That is brutal. That is brutal. That is brutal. We pay so much already. And how about the folks that are living on fixed incomes where a 5% uptick is legit real uptick?
What about the people who don't have jobs?
Let me couch that just a bit. When I say 5%, that's a cumulative 5% between valuation add and tax rate add.
Oh my God.
So it may end up being a 2% increase, but you had a 3% increase in value, or it could be a complete increase in value and not a tax rate increase.
What is going through your mind right now, Barbara? Can I ask you that? Because I'm seeing some vulnerability on your face.
Won't be sleeping
right
again tonight.
Yeah. What's going through your mind?
I want it to all be over, but we don't have any light at the end of the tunnel right now. I mean, this is it's scary stuff. It's very scary stuff. Yeah. I'm a little speechless. Thank you.
Yeah. Neil, how about final take? Anywhere you want to go. We got André Xavier on deck.
I do have one.
Okay.
Yeah. We always talk about mentorship. Who was your mentor?
Well, I will say that I've been blessed to work for a number of folks in the advertising industry that could see things and were visionaries. And I am not as good at being a visionary, but these folks taught me that it's not what is, it's what could be. And you can make it there. And so I surround myself with people that help me establish that vision to grow the organization. When I signed on in 2003, I wasn't sure it was going to last 6 months, let alone 17 years. We obviously are doing something right, perhaps in spite of my shortcomings. But the bottom line is, I have a vision for this organization that includes influencing public bodies to be pro-business and grow. And that growth helps everybody on the food chain. It helps career ladder jobs. It helps everybody. I like to say more housing everywhere for everyone. I believe that that's what's going to bring this community forward. And I have to believe that the mentors that I've had including one who lives now in Glenmore, who's retired to Glenmore, had that vision. And there were times I was like, how do you see that? And I strive to every day to see and embody the vision of the future of this community.
Gosh,
That's beautiful.
that was so
That's
good,
beautiful.
Neil. God.
Absolutely.
I have goosebumps.
I
Neil.
know. Neil's one of those guys.
I love Neil.
When you see him coming, you know something's going to happen.
Neil, I'm on
Gonna-
your website every single day, multiple times a day.
Yeah.
The only thing I can ask of you, and it's a tremendous compliment to you, is more content, more content, more content. Please.
In your spare time.
I
That's-
love your content, Neil. I really mean that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming
Yeah.
on the show.
Dude,
Thank
you
you
killed
so
it,
much.
Neil.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get Andre. Hey, Neil, you killed it. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm gonna get Andre on the line here, Judah. Gosh, Barbara, what is your take? What is your take from that?
I knew it was going to be good, but that was great. That was awesome.
My goodness
That's awesome.
gracious, free
He's-
enterprise.
I've been trying to get him for a
Boys
couple
and
of weeks,
girls.
but that was the best timing.
Oh my
best
gosh,
timing.
Judah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna reach out to Andre here in a matter of moments. Andre Xavier, give us a snapshot of what you like about Andre while I reach out.
Oh gosh, Andre is he's the busiest guy. He's just always thinking, always thinking. Multiple business opportunities. The list of his enterprises just goes on and on. So I'm going to ask him about that list.
Yeah.
I gave him that heads up. I want the whole list of things that he's done and what he's doing. And great family man.
He's a great family man.
He
Beautiful
just
wife, beautiful kid.
absolutely one on the way.
One on the way.
Yeah.
Smart man. I have him on the
Smart.
line, Judah. Okay,
Yeah.
Judah's giving me the thumbs up. I'm going to ask him to introduce himself
Please.
while I move the camera.
Yep.
You do the cameras
Yep.
when we do that switch. All right, Andre, you're live. Give an introduction to yourself, and then we'll talk shop, sir.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Barbara and Jerry, for having me on the show. I'm André Xavier. I'm a spot here in Charlottesville, Virginia. Very thankful to be here, and that's what we do. So let's talk about some of my many businesses, because I'm sure you're all curious about.
Okay, I missed that again. Sorry, we were plugging in.
Oh, that's all right. So you missed my introduction.
Well, yeah.
All right.
We're going to fix that next week.
I know. We need
yeah.
to. Did he just say we need wireless ones?
We're going to get that wireless thing
We
going.
do.
Yeah. So, Andre, your list of enterprises, did you do that? I'm sorry.
No, let me start. So I just said I was a small business owner.
Yes.
So let me tell about the business that we have.
Yes.
So we start with Cville Travel. We're a full-service travel agency. We specialize in unique travel experiences for our clients. We have Cville Tours, our full-service tour operator in Charlottesville. We have Cville Hop-On Tours, which is our craft beverage company in partnership with John Craig. Then we have we do have Cville 3D, which is our newest venture. Also, John Craig is my partner in that business. We're specializing in 3D tours using the Matterport technology.
Okay, so you're going to.
Actually, I have one more as well. I forgot. I have Cville Transportation, which is
right.
the wedding transportation.
Right.
side
And
of
we've
the
used the buses as well. Yes.
Yes.
And so right now you are doing some of the hop-on tours again, right?
We
Okay.
are actually, so we reopened back in the second week of July 26th to be exact, June 26th to be exactly. We started with a small number of buses, so we own 14 buses, but we're just operating about 6 to 8 buses. And the reason for that is mainly our destinations, they are kind of limited on the number of guests they can accommodate, effectively. So being respectful of that. But we're experiencing, very good success, I would say. The buses are being booked solid on Saturdays since we kind of reopened. So we're very thankful for that.
We know that your travel is, the Cville travel is a little challenged right now.
Cville travel is kind of on hold for now. Very, very little movement on that. A couple clients going to Charleston and Savannah, Georgia, but nothing really moving at all, sadly.
So Andre, we're showing photos of the 3D photos we're putting on screen. Judah, why don't we rotate them again? Give us the concept behind the new business.
Sure. So Cville 3D is kind of a product of, my time with COVID. Kind of have some downtime, able to research different industries and different opportunities that could arise from COVID-19. And I came across Matterport, which is not a new technology. They've been around since the early 2000s. But just now, COVID kind of gave a boost on the demand for 3D tours. And the Matterport, it is probably the leading company who does professional quality, 3D scans. So I spoke with John Craig, my business partner. We saw the opportunity. We saw there is a need for in Charlottesville to have that kind of services. Real estate is definitely the market and the industry that has the most used currently. They also have the higher demand, and they're one of the few industries that are doing well financially, I would say. So there is opportunity with that. However, our ultimate goal is to really get into the hospitality industry that we are familiar with. Hotels, venues, wineries, breweries, cideries, distilleries. But the example you're showing, that's Picasso Suite. That's a local craft shop. Jamie is the owner, and she has a beautiful shop. So when she reached out to us, we said, absolutely, that is a shop that will look beautiful in 3D. And I think what we're doing for her will be the new kind of way of experience retail. Like they see there's little links in there that you can click, and you can actually shop products from her website directly.
That's brilliant.
So it's
It is.
very cool.
Now, one difference. So I did a couple of 3D tour filmings through Wedding Wire a few years ago with two venues. Big difference with you is Wedding Wire was offering this, but once if you lowered your membership with them, your monthly membership, they took it away. They owned the film. That's not the case with you. So
Yes, and
okay.
yes and no. Matterport is the company who actually developed technology, right? So they own that scan. So it's put on a Matterport server and account. So you do have to pay then a hosting fee. Our service is what we offer to our clients, 1 year complimentary hosting.
Okay.
After
Great.
that, client is responsible for their own hosting. We can facilitate that, through that. But it's not a very expensive service to host. It's way cheaper than Wedding Wire.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
So
expensive.
it's still much more affordable. But yes, for now, the 3D technology, there's no way anyone can download that technology and have it. All the companies offer hostings. There's some players that are offering downloads, but it's a much lower quality. It's not the same level as the 4K image.
Yeah, these are beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't expect nothing else from Andre.
Absolutely.
I mean, Andre does everything class.
Top notch.
Top notch.
Top notch.
I appreciate that. But I want to be clear that we're not going to compete directly with photographers. We're not photographers.
Right.
We're not claimed to be photographers. We're absolutely providing a service for the 3D tour space. We're not replacing the photography aspect at all. Even though those images are beautiful, they're 4K quality, it does not replace the talent of a photographer.
Well said, Andre. I like that diplomacy there, sir. How about weddings? Weddings. The entire space, open-ended first. Andre, go anywhere you want to go about weddings.
Absolute weddings. I think I'm starting to see some movement. Actually, I do have our first wedding that we're providing transportation this Friday. It's the first one since March. I do have few weddings on the books. I think I talked to Barbara. I have probably about 45 weddings until the end of the year on the books for transportation. And that's a reduced number that we had before COVID, a little over 150 weddings on the book. So we're down
2/3.
huge. Absolutely, 2/3 easily. And sadly, I'm looking forward for more cancellations or more rebookings, to be exactly, because I'm nervous about the fall. I'm not so 100% sure that we're going to continue to be on phase 3 as we are. The new restrictions are definitely challenging. We are actually put to the point of masks. We're telling our clients that their guests are required to wear masks on the buses. We're making mandatory.
Do you provide them? You provide more? If they don't have one, you provide them?
Not on the wedding buses.
Okay.
We do provide them for hop-on buses.
Okay. All right.
But yes, definitely, it's the wedding industry is under a lot of stress, as Barbara can attest to that. It's definitely been a huge challenge for everyone. And it's impossible to know what the future holds to us. So it's very challenging times right now.
So you have inspired me over the years, that's for sure. We've worked closely together. And again, I always ask this question, who was your mentor? Was it Charlie?
Charlie's such a huge
Absolutely.
Charlie's his wife, guys.
Yeah.
My wife, she's absolutely a sounding board for me. She's the one who keeps me grounded because
Behind every successful man, right?
I'm all over the place. I was chasing the newest and the most exciting opportunity. So she keeps me grounded. But I think in terms of mentorship, I have good examples at home. I don't know if you're familiar with the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Love that book.
So
Yes.
I had home, right? So I had my mom, she was my poor dad. And I had my dad, who was my rich dad. So he was not really rich in the sense, but his ideas and his entrepreneurial spirit kind of helped me to mold myself and have the desire to be an entrepreneur. So I think that example came from early age from home, absolutely.
How are you passing it on?
Well, we're just kind of trying to help as many people as we can with, if we see someone that needs advice, we're providing that. For Londo, my son, I always trying to give him examples, real life examples. He's only 3, but there's a lot of opportunity to teach our kids from early age, kind of to be a well-rounded person.
Andre, your feeling, your temperature on doing business in the county and the city of late. My friend, I had a conversation with Judah that was almost synonymous with the conversation that we had with Barbara about feeling disenchanted, considering a move to a place like Nelson County. It's very difficult to do something like that when your company's called I Love Cville. So let's be honest, I can't move here. But Andre, your thoughts on anywhere you want to go on this. The roadblocks, the hurdles more than ever we're facing as small businesses, the SMBs, as entrepreneurs in Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville. Andre.
Absolutely. It is very challenging to be a business owner on the county of Albemarle. Absolutely. I'll give you a perfect example. Right before COVID, we found a piece of land that we want to buy to build our garage. I'm glad we did not, but that was the plan before COVID. And the land was in Albemarle County and was zoned agricultural. So we thought we could build, a bus garage. And when we approached then the county zoning area, and they explained to us, like, look, you cannot have a private garage on this land. You can have a winery, you can have a brewery, you can have a garage open to the public, but you cannot have a private garage. Gosh. And I'm scratching my head. I was like, okay, I can have a garage that's open to the public, but I cannot have a private one. And why is that? So that's the zoning. That's how it is. There's nothing can be done about it. So it just shows you that it is challenging. There's definitely at least the feeling I have at times is that they're anti-business. I know that's not true because there's a lot of business that we're here, but the challenges, they kind of make you think twice about expanding and building things on the county because it's not very friendly from the beginning.
There are a lot of surprises along the way.
Yeah. How about this one? The city, and everybody falls in this category. The city making us pay our taxes up front on the entire year's projections of our business, and paying the taxes in Q1, as opposed to it being done over the course of the year with cash flow coming in, right? So all the stuff, all the taxes paid up front on projections. On projections. Like, that's just not how business is run. But this is what we have to do as SMBs out here. Andre, your thoughts on 2020? Your thoughts on the Q1, Q2 of 2021? I mean, you like to look at a crystal ball, bullish, bearish, and why? Your thoughts?
Sure. So 2021, I believe the first quarter will be a wash, just like the rest of 2020. I just cannot foresee a vaccine that will come out fast enough that will solve the fear. I believe that we're about to enter a recession. We're already in a recession, but we're going to be even deeper recession than we're seeing. I'm nervous about real estate. There's a lot of unknown. So, and I think I mentioned my last time I was on this show, is right now is the time to hold on to cash. Hold on to your savings, because there's really no way to know what's going to happen. Also a great time to buy real estate if you can qualify for the loan, because interest rates are super low, so money is cheap right now. But besides that, hold on to your cash. It's just the unknown. It's too scary to even predict. But I believe the first quarter of 2021 will be a wash. I don't think nothing will change until the second, even the third quarter of 2021.
What do you think, Barbara? Do you think the same?
I'm agreeing with that. Yeah. That's the feel I get. And you have a baby on the way. When's the baby due?
So our baby's coming on Christmas Day.
Merry Christmas.
So that's the project, right? So we're super excited. We're very blessed to have a second child. It'll be a boy. So we're over the
Wow, Andre, I'm really liking your beard, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The COVID beard.
It's the COVID beard, Andre.
Yeah. Looking good.
Exactly. That's, and you don't have to meet many people in person. Even the Matterport, you're going there by yourself. So it's kind of free. You can let it go a little bit.
Yeah.
You're an amazing entrepreneur. How about the Cville Hop-On Tours evolution? And walk us through that. Is John Craig at the time working for Keswick Hall, and then you guys come up with this idea of this fabulous business? Is that what happened, Andre?
Yeah, absolutely. So went for dinner at Keswick Hall one night with my wife, sat at the bar outside, and John came by and said, "Hey, John, how are you doing? How's everything?" "Oh, just gave my notice. I'll be resigning from my position as Assistant Director of Food and Beverage." "Really? Okay. Hey, I just launched a new tour, Cville Tours. It's called Craft Beverage Experience. Would you be interested in running that tour, since he was, in charge of the beer purchasing in the hotel?" He's like, "Sure, love to do that." Fast forward 2 tours, he comes back. He's like, "That is my dream job. I'm getting paid to talk about beer. Let's do something." It's like, actually, that's awesome, because I've been thinking about a more affordable way to provide tours in this area. Then we talk about Cville Hop-On Tours. And in the beginning, we went all over the place. Are we doing a bar that you pedal, those bikes with the bars? Let's look into that. No, you cannot, Virginia, you cannot have open containers. Scratch that. Then driving on Route 29, we see a bus on the side of the road for sale. Turn around, talk to the guy. That was the first Hop-On bus. And the rest is history. And, the business model has been very interesting to us, because we create a business that also has an advertising arm. So we sell the wrap to sponsors, right? So that's how we kind of funded the first few buses that we purchased. So we're really fast on the first year to the third year. That was our fastest growing period. So we went from 1 bus in 3 years to almost 9. And then from year 3 to now, we went up to 14. And the business has been growing so fast. 2020 was projected to be our biggest year in history of the business. And of course, with COVID, kind of everything went crushing down. But we did include bigger buses now. So we do have a fleet a size of 32 passengers, we have 22 passengers, and 18 passengers as well. In those buses, they're not wrapped like the Hop-On. They're solid colors. Those are used for the wedding transportation piece of our business.
They're very nice.
They're beautiful. I love seeing them around. Andre, the future of transportation. The future of transportation here. Any concern at all about folks getting into a bus that maybe don't know each other in a tight setting? Where do you think the entire space is going to go, Andre?
Sure, and I can speak from our current experience, right? So we are above it, and we're taking every precautions possible. So what we're doing at Hop-On is masks are mandatory. On the guest side, drivers are wearing masks and wearing gloves. They're temperature checked before they come to work, answer questionnaires. We provide hand sanitizers. Our buses, they seat 14 people. Depending if it's an odd or even number of people, we may leave empty seats. So we're making sure that no one's sitting right next to a person they do not know. So the parties, they stay together. So some buses run out with 12 people to 13 seats, so it depends on the setup of the group. We're sanitizing the buses at every stop. So when people get off the bus is fully sanitized by the driver. So the buses are being sanitized on average 4 to 5 times in a period of 6 to 7 hours.
Nice.
So we're doing our best that we can. I'm actually pleasant surprised to see that people are not as afraid, I would say, to come out based on the bookings that we have. But at the same time, that we're being extra careful and very vigilant about safety, of folks and our guests and also our staff to make sure that we don't have any cases on the bus.
Do the drivers do all of that, or do you have to have a second person to handle?
No, the drivers, they do that.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot.
They're working super hard. We're very, very appreciative for all they do for us.
Right. He has great drivers.
Yeah. I love the experience.
And then on the big buses, the wedding buses, it's a little different because they are such a large vehicle with a lot of people. So they carry 55 people, right? So right now, we reduce the capacity and we're not carrying no more than 40 people per bus. So there's a lot of space now. There's actually 2 rows that people can be apart. So the 6 feet spacing is being respected on the coach buses.
I'm good.
Yeah, okay. Andre, how about this? Give us a take, and we'll get out of here on this note. Give us a take or some perspective we're not thinking of. Maybe it's a micro or macro economic trend we're missing, something in business that's not out there that should be out there. Any place, anywhere you want to go in that big, beautiful brain of yours, Andre.
All right. So I think on the macro of Charlottesville and Albemarle County, I think we do have a great opportunity for tourism because the trend I'm seeing on my travel agency is folks are traveling close to home. So I believe we can benefit from local tourism from Virginia Beach area, from the Northern Virginia area, from other states that can really help us during this time, the hotel stays and restaurants. So I believe that, and Courtney at the CACVB is doing a great job. I think they are going to really do a good campaign to try to promote tourism in our area and bring more people to this area. I think that's the opportunity we're going to see. In terms of weddings, we're going to see smaller weddings. That's the reality. I think people are not going to not get married, but we're seeing smaller weddings. This Friday wedding originally was 150 people. They're down to 89. So I think that's going to be the norm, smaller weddings, at least for the foreseeable future.
You think he's right, Barb?
Foreseeable future, the next year or 2?
Or perpetuity.
I would say no, let's say 2020 for sure until the end of the year. Then first quarter of 2021, and then after that, second quarter, I'm hopeful there will be a vaccine, some kind of treatment. So I think we should see some kind of normalcy starting towards the second half of 2021.
I think you're right.
He's right.
Yeah.
I think he's right. The vaccine's going to do the
Mm-hmm.
consumer confidence we need. Andre, you're the man. Thank you for joining us, dude.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
All right, Barb, this question. What do you take from this interview? Anywhere you want to go?
We talk about the vaccine. There will be people who won't take the vaccine.
Yeah.
There's that.
Right. And also,
they're scared of it.
Yeah.
Side effects. I mean, there are so many people who don't take the flu vaccine.
Right.
So
then we also have the question,
there's going to be that challenge.
When the vaccine comes out, how readily available is it going to be?
Exactly.
Will people
Just
take
like the test.
Who's it going to go to first?
It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. So we have this new phase 2.5 takes us through October. October is the new June, that's our busiest time. We're going to learn a lot through this time. School board meets today at 2 p.m.
I'm going to be watching. You too.
We'll be watching. We had more temporary closures in the news this morning.
Who was that? I didn't see it.
Some COVID-related restaurants. So anyway, I don't remember a lot of the names, so I won't start on the list. How's that? sad about Bashir's. So sad about Bashir's, but he's amazing.
He's amazing.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love him.
He's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. I wanted. I will clarify this. I'm not moving.
I know you. We knew you were.
That was just, it's like
Frustration.
Wow. Yeah, it's frustration. I'm very grounded on the farm. My kids are very close by, so I'm not going anywhere. So I don't want my kids to be watching and going, Mom, what are you talking about?
Bashir's watching now.
Hi, Bashir.
He's watching the show.
Yeah.
We love Bashir.
He's a doll. Yeah. He's a doll. I wanted your take on if we have still
we
have
can
some
go.
time.
You
Okay.
make the rules here.
Okay.
When Barbara comes in, it's her show to run.
I wanted your take on what you're seeing all over the place with coin shortages.
Okay, so guys, I'm curious of what you guys think. So I'm terrified, and I'm a libertarian.
Yep.
I am terrified that we're heading to a world of digital currency as opposed to money in our pocket. And why I'm terrified is this, is if our money is tied to digital currency as opposed to cash, cold hard cash, who's to say that the government then can't control our bank accounts? Who's to say that the government won't freeze our bank accounts for something that we've done wrong?
Yep.
Okay, and there is something to be said when you go and do a job. When I was growing up in my neighborhood in Williamsburg, to make some extra money, I was cutting grass for homes. And I'd go knock on the door, and I'd cut the grass, and at that time, you got $20 a yard. When you're 14 years old, getting $20 for hard work made you feel good.
I know.
It created a sense of self-confidence, and I did that for 2 hours, and I got this in my hand.
Right.
And it was like, it inspired me to be an entrepreneur.
Right. How do you do that for kids?
How do you do that for kids?
I mean, it doesn't happen that much anymore anyway.
Will it be like this?
I mean, I do it with my grandkids.
You cut my yard.
Yep.
Here you go, Johnny.
Yep.
And then Johnny's going to be like, what?
Yep.
Is Dad controlling this? Is Mom controlling?
The boys came over and helped me last week, and I handed them some cash. It's just like that. That's the way it should be. I mean, it always happened for me.
As a libertarian, I am terrified that COVID is amplifying government being in our lives and controlling what we do.
Yeah.
It's driving momentum behind it.
I'm in total agreement with you. I'm in total agreement with you.
How can I ask you a question?
You can try.
How are you, my friend?
I'm hanging in there. Yeah, I wore a generic kind of T-shirt today.
You're getting props on the shirt.
I wore a T-shirt.
Yeah. It's a T-shirt.
It's not negative. It's not positive. It is a T-shirt. Now, you notice it's a tea bag.
I love it.
Okay.
I think it's brilliant.
It's a tea bag.
Stan is giving you props on the shirt.
It goes into hot water and it makes tea. So it's sort of like making lemonade out of lemons, right? So that's where that one came from. I didn't have a really positive vibe in me this week. But we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it.
We have people giving you some props. Are you ready?
Sure.
So Cindy Schoenberg says, what an asset Neil Williamson is to our community.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everything.
He's the bomb.
Bob Shada is watching the program.
Hi, Bob.
He's loving what he's seeing right now.
I know what that question that's going to bring up, Jerry.
What's that?
We're still working on the fireworks numbers. So, but it will still be a big announcement.
Bob Schwartz is watching, and he says, what an upbeat and positive show.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's our goal.
Iris, your friend.
Iris is coming on the show.
I can't wait.
Iris and two of my other colleagues, Lauren and Vicky, are coming on the show in a couple of weeks.
Iris says, keep sharing the truth. Scream it. Say it loud. Keep sharing the truth, Barbara and Jerry. Thank you. So your colleagues in the space realize that what you're trying to do with your show is to champion the industry and at the same time hold the folks accountable that are turning their back on the industry.
And you do that as well. Thank you.
Well, I'm following your lead on this one. Donna says, Donna Rowland, I love this show. I learned so
Donna's
much.
So sweet. Thank you, Donna.
From this show. I love this show. And why you can tell I love this show is it's 11:40.
Yes.
And it goes to 11:15.
Yeah, we're a little long.
My friend, anywhere you want to go, any topic. To close.
You've talked about, I thought about this morning, you talk about your dad a lot, and I just wanted to say, call your mom.
Okay.
Call your mom.
Okay.
You're asking about me and how I am. Call your mom. Everybody call your mom. You might not have your mom around. I don't have my mom around anymore, but call your mom.
Call my mom. I
Yeah.
will do that. I'll do that today.
Yeah, yeah. There's a positive.
I will do
Everybody, call your friends, check on them. We started that at the first of COVID, and I think people are maybe losing a little bit of that. And maybe we're getting into a little bit of a hole. But check on your friends. Call your mom.
Check on your friends.
And your dad.
And your dad. I will. I will do that. I will do that today.
And don't forget, if you have anyone in nursing homes, they can't get out, you can't get in, check on them.
That's well said.
Yep.
You
Yep.
doing well?
I'm hanging in, yeah.
You're a trooper.
I lean on the Lord. I do.
I do
I
as
do.
well. 3 God-fearing people in this room. I love
And Judah, thank you. He
Yeah.
pulls it together.
J-Dubs.
Yeah.
Seriously. She's Barbara Lundgren. This is the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase. Folks, it's an approachable show created by Barbara Lundgren that champions and spotlights the fabulous people in an industry that is paramount to the future of Charlottesville and Central Virginia. And if anyone that you ever come across in any way tries to de-emphasize, devalue, or not prioritize weddings or events in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, you sit them down, you say, not so fast. $100+ million a year from folks like Barbara and Alan Cindy at Keswick Vineyards, the photographers, the videographers, the DJs, the florists, and frankly speaking,
Cakes. Don't forget the
cakes. I'm going to go to bat for you guys one more time. The fact that the grant money from the county
Yeah.
did not go to solopreneurs,
Yeah.
or they were excluded from the grant money from Albemarle County, the Barbara Lundgrens of the world, is a travesty.
Yeah, that did hurt. That did hurt. Because when I heard about it, I checked it out right away. I'm going, oh,
10K.
Nope. Yep. I don't qualify. Because
a
I don't have
travesty.
any employees right now. So,
Yeah.
yeah. A few years ago, I might have had some employees, but I don't now.
Of course.
Because, I don't.
Bashir says, I love you too, Barbara.
I love you, Bashir. You're the best.
Your best show. This is the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase. It's presented by the fabulous folks at Keswick Vineyards and Barb Wired. Barbara Lundgren is amazing. And through this show, I feel like I've gotten a chance to get to know her. And we are lucky to have Barbara Lundgren in our community.
Thank
and
you,
please
Jerry.
let her know that when you see her. This is a time more than ever where we need to come across our friends and say, thank you, job well done, keep your head up, we can do this, we're going to get out of it. Tell your friends that. Thank you.
Thank you. We
will
appreciate the opportunity.
Our pleasure. We will see you guys next Thursday on the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase, 10:15 to 11:47 on the I Love Cville Network.
Or whenever.
You guys have a good morning. Take care. Good job, Barbara. Judah, great work. Seriously.
Thank you, Judah.
And he's going to get a photo of you real quick.
Okay.